Hello students, welcome back to the materials for week 2 for tugas akhir 1 with me Miss Mona Lisa Pasaribu. So today the topic is going to be about the introduction to research and the research proposal. As you know that by this week you should be able to do some drafting for your research proposal. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit on the theory of how to write down a research proposal. So let us first check the outline. So the outline for this video will be first, we'll have a quick introduction, and then we will have the explanation on what and why we should do research, and then we will talk about the types of research, and then we talk about steps of research, literature study or literature review, you name it, annotated bibliography, and then the format of a research proposal, okay, which I have already given to you last week. So you should be able to be familiar with the format of a research proposal by now. Okay, so now let's move on to the introduction. So first of all, three main activities that help people to understand nature and environment. The first one is through the experience, by having some information from sources, and then you do also reasoning by doing analysis or logical hypothesis, and then you also do some research. Research is quite systematic, controlled, empirical, and critical investigation about the presumed relation among the natural phenomena. Okay, so that is the reason why you want to do a research is actually to help you understand what's happening around you, okay, how to understand the nature and the environment. Next, we move on to the research itself. So as I have mentioned in the previous slide, that research is systematic, controlled, empirical, self-correcting, and it is also the combination of experience and reasoning activities. Okay. So what is actually a research? A research is a journey from unknown to known. So after you finish your research, you should be able to depart from the unknown area, okay, to the unknown area. So previously you don't know how to use Scrum or how to implement Scrum to one particular thing. Now you know the effect of implementing Scrum to a particular thing. And then you also apply a method of critical thinking over there, because you need to give a good reasoning in order to explain your reason. And then you also talk about the arts of scientific investigation. And then there's a systemized effort to gain new knowledge. Okay? So obviously you may want to ask why we should do research, Miss, because we are only a diploma student. Yes, obviously you still, even though you are a diploma student, you need to have a little bit of research during your higher education experience, because it is one of the conditions to get your degree. Okay, and then after that, if you also do research, at some point there's also respectability given to you by other colleagues, especially when the research itself is giving a very good contribution to the surrounding. Okay, and then it's also solving a problem, facing challenge, and then there's also an intellectual joy over there if you think it is intellectually joyful, and then to serve the society. So some people are actually doing a research because they want to help the society. Like for nowadays, people are doing research on COVID so that this COVID can be reduced as part of their way of serving the society. Okay. Now we come to the types of the research. Over here there are some types of research. As you can see, descriptive, analysis, applied, fundamental, conceptual, and empirical. I would say for Diploma 3, most of you will be in around this part of analysis, and then you also will talk about the empirical. Okay, because most of you will be able to have a long time to discuss a very long descriptive research, for example. Okay, so what is analysis? So you use facts and information that is already available and then do the critical evaluation. So like for example, if you are analyzing the use of Scrum to a particular application, for example, then you make an evaluation based on the application of this particular algorithm or this particular technique. Same thing like the empirical. You can also do an empirical study, like for example by having a comparative study. What I mean is comparing some data before treatment and after treatment. So you give, for example, a prediction using an algorithm. Okay, so that is the types of research that Diploma 3 students can possibly do. Okay, also you may also discuss about descriptive or survey, or you can also talk about the applied, fundamental, or conceptual. So the steps of research, I think it is quite clear when I have given you the format of research proposal. Just follow that steps. It is more, I think it's simpler to follow than these steps of research that we have over here. Next, I'm pretty sure right now you also have checked the research proposal template, and there is a section about a research question. Okay, so research question. What is a research question? Research question is what you want to solve or what you want to answer from your research. Okay, so for example, you have a question. Why is for example, why is the moon round, for example? So that is a research question. So in order to get the answer of why moon is round, then you go to find out the literature review to help you to gain this answer from this research question. However, I won't suggest you to use that kind of research question for your research proposal. It needs to be something that you are familiar with, or you can also say that something that you can actually do within a certain period of time. Okay? And then defining a research question is important because it guides your choice of method. If your question was, has the functional performance of certain specific operating system improved over time, then what you can do, you could conduct a survey of users, or you can also conduct some laboratory benchmarking experiments. And your methods must be appropriate to your research question. And then if you want to find a good research question, just make sure that don't avoid overly simple inquiries such as, are current OS any good? Because it is too simple for a research question. Now we go to a literature review or literature survey, you name it. Okay, I'm sure that you still remember when we were doing English 4 and we were talking about the writing for a literature review, and you are looking for a gap from published literature. So what is a gap? I will remind you again. A gap may be a problem that has not been solved, a question that has not been answered yet. If you're still confused with this, I want you to go back again to your submission for English 4 and check which one is the gap that I mean over there. Okay? And then after that, Although it can be quite time consuming, reviewing a literature will help you to decide which factors are important, how to measure them, and what findings to expect. So you are expected to read maybe 3 to 4 or maybe more literature review, so you can get a bit of review on what is going on with that topic. Okay? Okay, now what do we call as a good research? If you want to be called a good researcher, then you need to have a research that has purposes and objectives which are clearly defined. The procedures are enumerated to keep continuity, and then you also need to have flaws reported and their effect estimated. What does it mean by this is that you don't have error of data during your presentation of your research later on. Okay, and then you also need to carefully check the data for validity and reliability, whether the data that you get is actually valid or reliable. Okay, and then the other qualities of good research is it needs to be systematic, controlled, logical, empirical, and replicable, can be repeated by other researchers. Of course, you can do this with the other object, for example, or with the other timeline, or with the other target community, for example. Okay, you cannot go to with the same people over the same period of time, because obviously that will be called cheating. So we are coming to the research proposal. So the research proposal contains the research plan. It should have at least the research background, the objective, the question, the methodology, the schedule, and the references. I'm pretty sure that our research proposal template has covered all of this content. Okay? And then for the references, I want you to also check how the references format is using the previous documents. So overall, if you want to see the flow chart of the research proposal, first of all, you need to come up with a research question, a background, what, why, and how. If, for example, you're talking about Scrum applied for a particular application, for example. So what is the first thing that you want to solve, or what is actually the problem that you want to solve from this research? Okay, and then after that you come up with the background by explaining the problem itself, and then the literature review, the gap that you want to fulfill with your research. And then after that you come up with the research design, the research procedures, and then after that you talk about the limitation. I won't talk about the preliminary data yet. Probably your lecturer or your supervisor are going to talk about this later on, but usually we only come up with the methodology, and then we come to the limitation, and then we go to the conclusion. Okay, so that should be all for the research proposal intro. I hope this gives you a little bit of view or a little bit of enlightenment on how to write down a research proposal. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the practicum session. Bye.